Here, okay, what it does is it creates a lot of pressure in the bottom of the engine and it blows the oil everywhere. The problem is it blows it back into the engine. It starts burning the oil.
So I'm Russ Drew. I deliver specialist mobility training for the British Army. The reason stems from basically people going out in small teams and basically being self-sufficient, looking after their vehicles. It's become apparent over the past few years that there's more and more a requirement for special training on basic maintenance, because we're so used to people picking up vehicles, not knowing what they're doing, and the vehicles getting damaged, people getting damaged, and at the end of the day, the operation comes to a failure. So the sort of stuff we deliver, it starts off with like basic maintenance. So we'll show them what's under the bonnet. So there's a little bit of ownership on that vehicle. They need to know how to maintain it, how to look after all the different components on there, and it's an understanding of what actually all those items do on that vehicle. But then it moves on to, so once they've got an understanding of that and the need for it, is understanding of what all those lubrications and all the oils and all the different fluids do, and what you can get away with, in different countries in the world. Because it might be okay in England and Europe, Germany, and across to the States. You'll probably be able to get hold of all those things, but occasionally you can't. There'll be situations where you need to get hold of an oil that they can't get it, and the consequences of not being able to do that. It gives people that confidence then that they know that they can operate that vehicle and they can maintain it, and it's that ownership. So that vehicle is now theirs. When it comes back to it, when something goes wrong, they know what they're doing to look after it. There's nothing actually worse than being in the middle of nowhere with a puncture or damaged suspension, and that vehicle has to either be denied or it has to be recovered, because that brings in other forces. And also it takes away that element, the covert side where people need. When it comes down to the medic side, it's a similar sort of thing, because one of the biggest problems that we've seen over the past few years is people in humanitarian aid convoys all the time, particularly in African developing countries. These people are carrying quite a high value cargo, so that's medicines and equipment. At the end of the day, all it takes is something to go wrong, and suddenly there's people who aren't really interested in their future. They will take that equipment. And the worst case scenario is a kidnapping and potentially the loss of life, and then the task has to end because they haven't been able to achieve the target. So by helping people to understand a little bit of getting the mobility and get into that situation, no matter what vehicle you get, you could get the gold standard such as this, or you might be getting something else from the company that's running the organisation, but it's having an understanding of what you're doing and repairing it. So then we'll move on to stuff such as like the expedient repair. Now, expedient repair comes from the old-fashioned army battlefield damage repair, and that is basically repair using what's available in your local environment to fix that. It's having the confidence and the knowledge to know what's redundant on that vehicle, what I don't need, what I can get away with fixing. We're not talking about getting that vehicle to do 70 miles an hour, we're talking about getting it to go from here to the next location. You identify the fault early on, you repair it, and then you move on a little bit further. And that gives us expedient repair. It's all about using your imagination, but giving people that confidence to do that is where we're at.
Great, thank you. You say you have a military background. I was just wondering if there are any what sort of environments you've been to sort of vehicle repair and things like that, and the challenges each of those environments.
Okay, so it's quite a broad spectrum. There's various fields that I've operated in, and a lot of the stuff is now moving away from the green fleet sort of military side, and onto low signature 4x4s, to achieve the task. Unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff we can't discuss naturally, but a lot of the countries we've been to are certainly developing, and they would not particularly be countries where you'd want to stop and be broke down for long periods of time.
How would you cope with sort of needing a spare part if you're very isolated in a country?
Right. It depends on in the country. I mean, and the spare part. But in the past, we've had some quite major catastrophes, like large suspension faults. Generally, you can identify somebody in a village or a town. So it all comes down to what we do as training. So it's identifying when you're passing through an area, you're driving through a location, you go past the town, you're always making a mental knowledge of what's in that town, what you can use, and whether it be a guy fixing tyres, a guy doing some welding. So that goes in your head. You can go and see those people, and also it's actually having a little bit of money to say to somebody, look, I need this part, you know, and finding somebody you can trust. Admittedly, it is relying on people, and it does take a little bit of currency to sort of achieve that.
And one last question. We're obviously at the World Extreme Medicine Conference. How is coming to this conference important for you guys?
Okay, so really, I think coming here, it's essential, because the feedback we get coming from our students, and certainly the uptake that have come from our sessions. I find that the people are really engaged straight away, you know, and you expect people to think from a different field that it's always something else that they're going to be looking at, you know, and you always think they're going to want to be sat on the outside looking in, but it's surprising how much they want to get engaged and involved in it, you know, and you can see the way that they're under the vehicle and they're asking questions, and it's just one of those subjects that I think that people latch onto and think, well, yeah, this is a life-saving opportunity, you know. I think it's for certainly all the medics and that are doing this sort of stuff. This sort of stuff is bread and butter almost, you know. You need to be on your game with it, really.